Hello, 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 and welcome to Shared Space with Quida and Chap. Chapo, how you doing today, buddy?
All is well. How have you been?
I am well. I am well. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself. I am Laquita Chansey, the founder and director of Baltimore Homes, and we build micro shelters and tiny homes for folks who are unhoused. And this weekend, we had a really busy weekend with Chap. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
All right. I am Chaplain David Lovelace, known throughout Baltimore City as Chap. Yeah, I was looking at a picture on my computer here, but I was able to have the privilege to join Baltimore Homes at Middle River Baptist Church. We did a learning lab slash micro shelter build. So we had some volunteer. Well, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I'll tell
No,
you.
go ahead. You
Okay.
talk about it, please.
So our facilitator, our commander in chief, our organizer, Laquita Chansey, created a space, a shared space where volunteers from various groups came out, from church members to some realtors with home lending, hometown lenders.
Yep.
I'll make sure I get the name right. As well as some other volunteers from other spaces. Big shout out to a young lady named Miss Ashley, that I met this weekend. So looking forward to having her as a guest, and so much potential I see in this young woman to do whatever she chooses to do. And I pray that she chooses to lead our people into a better future, because she's got all that. So shout out to her. She came out, and I was privileged to serve in this shared space as a teacher. I have about 20 some years carpentry experience as a framer. And we took some time to show just everyday people, or people who are not trade people, or grandmothers and grandchildren and everybody in between, how to use various tools, the context of the tools, what they're used for in a building process. Nail guns and skill saws, and it was really great. Being a professional, or a former professional, I tend to run through the information fast, so it was great having people like Quida beside me to say, "Hey, slow down, bro. What's that? What's that?" Asking all the questions, and then people kind of caught on and were asking all the questions they needed to ask. But it was a really great time. We got tools from the tool bank. What's the name of the tool bank?
The Baltimore Community Tool Bank.
Yep. So it's over off Wacomico, over southwest area direction there. So thank you guys for bringing the tools. We had and we built some panels that will eventually be assembled somewhere in Baltimore. I think our vision for it, hopefully, is to help Mr. Dwayne Richardson over at Making Good in the Community Park over Baylor Edison, to get some grants for him to help uh, cover the cost of putting the whole thing together, where we can house some. What are we doing with it?
More like a digital equity lab.
Yes.
Yeah, we're hoping that we can tap into some fibers by some nearby institutions like Morgan State University, and tap into their fiber wires, put an antenna on the micro shelter. If anyone has ever seen the prototypes that we have that are floating around Baltimore, they're much smaller than the ones that we worked on this weekend for the what was it, Relief Serve Baltimore tour, which was really dope. It was really dope. So yeah.
Yeah, so Yolanda Pulley actually pulled me on her show before we. You're welcome. Hi, Yolanda.
Yes, wait. And Yolanda, she's also a part of the tiny home crew. Like, she gets busy with the tiny homes and understands how they're an affordable housing model. So, Yolanda, I don't know what, you know what? I do know what I was thinking, but it didn't even cross my mind like to invite you out there. I know you was probably too busy to come anyway, but still, next time we got to get you out there because, like I said, this thing can't be done alone. But go ahead, Chap. So we were out there.
No, we were out there. We were out there building panels. People, and let me tell you, we got a lot of work done in 2 days with completely inexperienced people, and maybe two or three experienced people taking the lead. That's another thing that I really appreciated about the space that we created, was that I highly expected to have to do everything for Quida, whatever she needed, whatever direction she took. Kind of being the middle person between myself and volunteers as far as the trade and the actual work and labor. And what she did was she discovered who had some experience through communicating, right? And the people who had experience, she deputized them to take some of the lead on what we were doing. And I thought that was really, like, just really intelligent, and really how you engage a community and empower people. Is that now some of the people that were in that group might not have even known that these older guys in their peer group who was volunteering were carpenters, right? Because a lot of them looked like they were older and retired and stuff. So that was really great to see. It took pressure off of myself personally, right? Because I saw that those guys knew what they were doing. So it allowed me to break off, and they were able to take a look at what we're doing and replicate that, and have everybody come together and show them. And allowed me to kind of float around and do some real one-on-one with people who, like, oh, you want to learn how to swing a hammer? Let's go over here and do that. Or you want to learn how to use a skill saw? Let's go over here and do that till you're comfortable. And so it was just a really great space. And I don't think you marketed it as a learning lab, but that's what it turned into. And I greatly appreciate it. I know everyone involved as well expressed their gratitude for the opportunity, not just to serve, but to learn. So it wasn't like they were completely giving, but they were also receiving in return. So I thought that's very important. And when we model what our community engagement looks like, we don't just want to be transactional or be an ATM for things. We definitely want to give something to the community that they can take with them when they leave our events. So,
like, the beauty of it is, I've always imagined that this would eventually evolve into some sort of workforce development situation. So absolutely, I see it as a learning lab. I just don't. I guess because it's so unofficial. It's, what do people need? Like, there's no curriculum, no official curriculum yet. And those are the things that I'm working on. But Chap, I thank you for being there to demonstrate to folks how to safely use tools. People who weren't comfortable with tools were there. They left now knowing how to name tools, how to
and
snap a line.
a
Go
shout out
ahead.
to you, shout out to your life partner Sheldon, who was absolutely our safety director. Man, he was so sharp and paying attention to people and where they were at. And then, like, if there were nails in the ground, picking them up so no one stepped on them or no tires drove over them. If a saw was plugged in and there was children in the work area, he'd come by and make sure everyone knew to unplug, not just unplug it, but say, hey, let's unplug these when kids are around, and just making everyone aware in a positive way, right? He wasn't being a bully or a sheriff. He was just like, positively sharing information, like, hey, let's always consider safety when working with power tools and in this construction environment. So I appreciate him for that, because we want to protect our people. So I appreciate him for that. And Yolanda and Jason, if you guys want to hop on, man, sent the link to you in Facebook. Feel free to hop on. We'll get you in here.
Yeah, like,
So,
on top of that, I think it was really cool that we did it twice, right? We did it Friday and Saturday. So that gave a chance for the people who learned on Friday to actually use those skills again on Saturday and get even more comfortable. At one point, I saw Patrice and Ryan doing some more work, like, toward the end,
that's
and
right.
they were there both days. So I thought it turned out really great. So thank you, Hometown Lenders,
Mm-hmm.
for sponsoring the event. And then thank you, Middle River Baptist Church, for hosting. Like, both
Pastor
things.
Lonnie. Thank you, Pastor Lonnie.
Yes, and Pastor Lonnie, like, those things are necessary. I always say this work can't be done alone. I don't want to do it alone. That's not how you create community or safe space or shared space. And it was really interesting. I was talking to some folks and, like, kind of caught myself, because I often lead with, I see these being villages for LGBT youth and or seniors or mothers of domestic violence survivors, things of that nature. And, like, I saw somebody look at me like, LGBT, and it never even dawned on me that, it might, I don't know, shake somebody, rattle somebody, offend somebody, or make somebody think twice. Because to me it doesn't matter. So it was just interesting to see, the reactions of folks, and to hear folks, and the questions that they were interested in about the initiative. So yeah, Chap, I thought it was pretty dope. Did you want to show some of the some
No, not really. I'll just bring it up playing with the video.
okay.
But yeah, we could do that. We could do that. I'll
I
mute it
don't
so
know
we
how
can.
long it was.
It's 3 minute video. So she caught me teaching, and so that's why I don't want to watch it. I don't
No,
know.
no,
It's
no. So we can let it play, and
yeah,
it
but
doesn't sound like we can hear anything. So that's pretty cool. So this is
yeah. So
the
now
second day of the Serve tour, and just kind of panning the crowd. At this point, Chap was doing a safety tools
mhm.
demonstration, and it doesn't look like you're using the it looks like maybe you're snapping or
Oh yeah, so
measuring.
yeah, so we started with basic tools. I just started the whole process from scratch in front of everybody and show them like hey, like real basic. This is a pencil where you can use a crayon. Here's your tape measure. Here's how you mark. Here's how you square off. So we took it step by step. And so this is you
Oh, so
basically.
you took this from Instagram.
I
Okay,
did,
got
I
it.
did. So that's you probably talking to Instagram, and then you I think you turn to show off some of the yeah, there we go. We go back to some of the volunteers, and yeah, we talk about this is thing two.
Yep, that's thing two. Look at you getting to
Mhm.
know the babies.
Oh, I do thing one for sure because we gotta preserve some parts of that for posterity's sake.
Right, right. I
So
was
I'm
talking about how we kind of separated, and back here, we had
oh,
planned to do like, no, you don't have to keep showing it.
okay.
It's fine. And back there, we plan to do some sort of painting station. So we had two painting stations, one doing some finishing touches on thing two, and then another one we were just kind of painting and treating the panels that we were building for the 8x8 structure that we're going to build.
And
And
they
so,
they
say
turned out
again.
really good. They turned out really good. The kids were so inspired and inspirational. I was watching the kids paint and just express themselves, and and talking about and their insecurity. It looked better, but I didn't have the right brush. I'm like, man, it looks awesome. What are you talking about? And it was
Right.
it was great, man. It really was a great experience.
Right. There were two boys there. And I don't remember their ages, but they were young, like second and third
Single
grade,
single
or
digits. They were single digits.
yes, they were so young. Isaac and Jeremiah, and they were adorable. We were doing some on the spot design thinking, some human centered design, and talking about the things that the shelter was missing and how we can add it, and how we can make it, more like a home, which is kind of why I don't call them tiny homes. They're just shelter. Like, the idea is to replace these tents because that is unsafe. It's unsafe. It's not insulated. All the things you can look at a tent and know. But yeah, it was a really great event. It was a really great event, and I'm looking forward to when we construct the time and put together all the schedule to actually put it together on some lot here in Baltimore. That'll be exciting.
It will be. Yeah. So what else? I didn't make it this week. Dee Dee wasn't feeling good. So I missed. It's funny because I missed the. We actually had a doctorate walk with the doc Sunday.
Yes,
How was that?
yeah, so that was really good. That was really good. I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember what organization she was from, but she was really good. We had very few questions. You know how we all, uh-oh, it looks like we got a guest coming on.
The lovely
Hello,
Miss Chloe.
hello, Miss
with my cup of
Chloe.
ice.
Are you chewing ice?
Oh.
Somebody needs to take their iron pills, I see.
No, actually, I don't have an iron problem. I have an ice addiction problem.
Are you serious? Oh my goodness. I used to love chewing ice. It was totally related to iron and anemia, but I just got to stay away from it because,
Before you
like
See,
you
guys go any
mine's
said,
look, before you guys go any further, people who chew on ice, the my urban legend I grew up with is that you were sexually frustrated. I'm just saying, don't go telling everybody you chew ice. because that's the myth, the rumor. So
Is
Georgia,
that what they
that's what
say?
they
Oh,
say.
that was funny.
Hey, look at family. Hey, family, we see you.
Right. They're like, wait, that's
Hey,
not time.
I love it. I love it.
He had a dog. His dog came on now.
Yeah, Dice, my Doberman, showed up on her show. I was like, oh man, okay.
This is
No,
the
but
beauty.
ice calms the noise down in my head.
Mm.
That's why I chew it. You know, it's my calmer. That's why I eat ice the way that I do. It helps me think. It calms me down, and it makes me less angry because like
You
when you
can get rid
talking
of the
about
tension instead of you grinding your jaws and grinding your teeth, which is what I do, and which is horrible for your teeth and gives you tendonitis. You're chewing ice, so I get it. You don't gotta keep explaining.
I get so sick and tired of getting into it with our elected officials, and they act like they don't get it. And when we're talking about tiny houses and what you have going on, matter of fact, I want one of what you have. I'll swap you one. I want one of those.
One of them.
Yes, I will put that in my backyard, and that will be my woman cave. I
I
promise
like
you
it.
Hey,
never come out.
absolutely.
Yeah, that would
I
be my
love it.
outlet. See, people want to go on vacation, and I say create your own, vacation at home. So
Right.
Mhm.
people can get one of them and put it in their backyard. It don't have to be for whatever you want it to be. Like it could actually be for your own personal healing and growth. When you need to heal or you need to think, you can go in there and you can have your relaxation moment. You can have moments to yourself, or when somebody get on your nerve, be like, boy, if you don't get out of my room and go into that tiny house,
Right.
And look, so here you go. We're going to talk about housing, but you're talking about self-care and mental health, right? Because if you don't
maybe
have
maybe that's what you should do, Quida.
yeah,
Going into the mental health thing.
because like
I,
you're talking about, you creating that space, like
they
everybody should have a sanctuary at home, and they
right.
don't. They don't.
Right.
Right. We
And to
can't
that
if we
point,
can't afford
Yolanda,
it, if we
they
can't
won't.
because we have a house full of people,
Right.
then it should be an outside space that we should be able to go into and go into a sanctuary. If you just need to meditate or pray, we should
Right.
we should be able to do that.
I
Our
agree.
tiny house is not as big as yours, and that's why I said, I would love to have one of those in my backyard. Matter of fact, you donate me one.
You know what? We
Let's
can
get a
talk
grant.
about that because I feel like somebody will be like, these Black women are doing some good things together. Let's support them. Let's support them. So, how big is yours? Is yours 12 by 8?
It's it's 12 by 8.
12 by 8. So,
Yeah.
Yolanda's is in between the size of the shelter that we were putting together this weekend and then the one that's behind me. So, that's still, go ahead.
Actually, I just had a conversation with Sheila Dixon today. And
Oh,
yeah, and she actually, she's on board with the tiny houses. So just like I said, any conversations that I'm having, bringing it in, because it's not about me, it's about we. And if this is the way that we have to heal our city, then this is the route that we should be taking. And I'm not the one that want to share. I don't like to be on the front of everything.
right.
Sometimes I like to sit back, and I don't like people to say my name. I just like to sit back and if you say, Yolanda, come help us build a house, nobody needs to know that I'm there doing that.
Right.
I've never been the one that wanted, accolades or anything for anything that I do or anything that I show up to. So
Right.
it is an honor to connect with you. It's an honor to be on the front line with you guys. It is an honor to be in y'all shared spaces.
Right.
People need to, like I told him earlier, we need to give flowers when flowers is due. And you are out here and you're pushing the same way that I do. So,
Right.
I have to give you your flowers too. You are a goddess that deserve to be known for what you are. So when that crown get a little bit crooked, I'm going to just help you straighten it up just a tad bit to put us
Yes.
back in perspective of what we're doing. And
Right.
that's what we have to do.
If anyone tries to call you out and say you're not from Baltimore, just have them look at you, have them give your tribe a call, see what happens.
Right.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that song with anything with yo-yo in it. Yo-yo and hoes at yo-yo Trav, what's up? Yo-yo,
Trav,
don't
what's
play
up?
with my yo-yo. I hated everything about it.
I
Hated everything about it.
I could not. I could not. That's beautiful. I do appreciate that, Yolanda. And to your point, like it's not about us. It's about affordable housing. It's about addressing redlining. It's about reversing racism. It's about investing in the neighborhoods that need it and meeting people where they're at and not forcing people to do stuff that they don't want to do. Just all these things are ridiculous. So I love you for that. So thank you for the support. And same here. Like I told you the first time when we met, I'm like, I know who you are. I saw you on stage at Morgan. I know
That's right.
exactly who you
That's
are.
right.
Right.
Sure
Yes.
did.
And that's when I actually bought up my tiny house platform. But then I realized why they don't want it here. It's because we're being pushed out. And it's crazy because, we can share in the conversations with, I can bring in conversations that I'm getting ready to have with Baltimore County and, people out throughout the state that want want what we have going on. And it's crazy that we actually have to go outside of our own backyard for them to see that it actually works. And, that's why we can't keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. These people don't care. At this point, and I done said this on like 30 radio shows, at this point, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
And look, and we're all echoing that, right? So many good people like Coach Tagana Duncan and Nicole Mosby Taylor, and um, names are escape me right now, but so many good people that are doing good things in Baltimore have moved out to the county or other counties because the city's not supporting them doing community work. And it's really sad that either we have to find a way to get our kids out to those sites in the county, or they just end up serving county kids when our kids are the ones that really need the resources they have. And so I echo that, is that it's a shame we always have to go out to the backyard when we're trying to do work in the house.
Right. And the piggyback off of what you said is, I'm never going to leave Baltimore. I'm not leaving until I fix my city. That's just point blank, period. But it's a shame that we have to do our work outside of Baltimore when we're in the ones in the inner city that need it first.
Right. Right. You know what I always say? I always start with, I was raised in Baltimore County. And when I found out that Baltimore City schools had to catch public transportation to get to school, I was like, oh, that proves that they don't care about these kids. I recognized that when I was in middle school and high school, like talking about, like, how do you expect, I imagine myself having to catch public transportation to get to school every day. And I'm like, what? How? Like, I would have to get up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning for no reason at all. And that
Right.
is the life of city kids. Like, don't people recognize that this is awful for them?
Well, I had two things that I was going to actually implement as mayor. And that's either keeping the kids in the neighborhood or having our own transportation system. We don't need to be traveling from east to west. What we're doing is we're teaching children how to manipulate the parents in the system by giving them public transportation to ride on. If they're not allowed
we're
to
endangering them too.
Most importantly, like, why are these kids, these are children, first, second, third, fourth, whatever grade, getting on public transportation with God knows who are themselves. These people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you have to put them on the bus by themselves because they get bus tickets and the parents don't have money to get on the bus. I think that is, we're setting them up for, if you ask me, we're setting them up to grow up too fast. And then we want to tell them, stay in a child's place. When we gave them everything that they need we showed them how to, we showed them how to do it.
So on Wednesday nights, I don't know if you've tuned in to BlackUSA.News, on Wednesday nights at 8, Mr. Samuel Jordan, who grew up in apartheid North Carolina, has taken the lead on the Baltimore Equity Transit, the Transit Equity Group. I'm not BTEC, Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition. And so that's somebody that, if you haven't watched the show or talked to him, watch his show, see what he's about, and see if he fits into what you're trying to do. Because again, that's a network connection, and these guys, again, he's out here working legislation. So where, I know you are like a bridge between both. I'm very much boots on the ground, and I love it down here. And like you said, I'm not going to leave till the city gets better, and the city's not going to get better. So I'm just digging in, and I already know that 20 years from now, we're going to have the same conversation. but we're also constantly doing what we do so we can teach others and show them what it looks like,
Right.
right? But Mr. Jordan has a platform where he reaches a lot of state legislators and federal legislators, and he knows the process so well. Here's a man who's has 70 years of life experience,
Mm.
who's been doing it for decades, and so he
Mm.
has so much knowledge on how. Like I just watch his show, and even if I'm not interested in the content of the, the red line, the bus a bus system that was abandoned to go from west to east. And I'm not interested in the content of the history of the road to nowhere and these other things they talk about. I learned so much about what I have to do if I wanted to make a legislation change or a new legislation in the Senate in our government system. He just like breaks it down step by step like he's just making breakfast, man. He knows it so well. And so that's a lot of the knowledge I draw from watching his show, if nothing else.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. We're still fighting for the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. This is just, it's insane at this point. And like I said, it's disrespectful that we're still fighting, marching, and protesting and throwing up the signs. And I tell people all the time, stop trying to be a part of the solution and join the revolution. It's time to create change.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for change to come in because I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yes.
The other day, I was explaining to a city official, it's no way on God's green earth that I should have got 30 calls in one day about housing. It's no way on God's green earth that y'all did not get 30 calls about housing in one day.
Right.
Like I said, at this point, it's just disrespectful. For you not to even adopt the tiny house program into our city. Why are we the only ones that's 20 years behind the 8 ball on everything? Why?
Right. Because they benefit from it.
Right. You see it working on other cities. You see it working. It does work. So why are we not doing best practices? Unless you have it, unless this thing is intentional.
It's intentional.
Right.
For sure.
Exactly.
For sure. It's absolutely intentional. Like, and you know that, like you said, and people benefit from it, and the people who are in charge benefit from it, or their friends benefit from it, or like the biggest thing about it to me is that now DEI is like such a big thing, and Black Lives Matter and all these things. And I'm really trying to figure out, like, in my heart and soul, like, how is this any different than segregation? Like, are we still trying to integrate? Like, DEI is nothing more than integration and folks being able to talk about how they're being discriminated against, while before it wasn't something that people were allowed to talk about. Like, I don't see what has changed since the civil rights movement. I mean, I wasn't alive then, so I'm positive that things have changed, but I don't believe that they've changed enough for communities.
It wasn't changed enough to see it.
Right.
If we don't see it and we're still doing it, how was it anywhere near change? Right. And like I said, we're still fighting for things over 400 years ago. We're still fighting for inclusion. And now you talk about, now you're going to build something on equity and inclusion. Why was we excluded in the first place? I'm just being honest here. We was exiled from everything that helped us thrive. And, it's sad that now you have to educate people on this when it should have been a human right in the beginning.
Right.
Why we don't see nothing wrong with this? Why?
Because it is so ingrained in the system that folks don't even want to recognize it. Like, if you're not oppressed by it, then you don't have to pay attention to it. And it's really just, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not oppressed by it, you're not bothered by it, and you can pretend that it doesn't exist and that you don't benefit from it. Because,
well, I pretend that I'm a millionaire all day long, but that don't mean it's factual.
You know what? I wish I could. You know what? I wish I could pretend that I was also said millionaire. Okay, I wish I could spend money like a millionaire, because I could daggone think about spending money like a millionaire. You speaking of millionaires or billionaires, Bezos and what's the other one? The Tesla one. They are really like living out like their childhood dreams, just like building spaceships and going to space. It's really like bizarre to me that people are escaping the US, not even that, the whole damn world,
Right,
and
right. Go
going out
ahead.
to space when there is so much that is needed here. Like, it's really like baffling to me, the audacity of the privilege of the caucasity of it. Like, it's just bizarre. And
But look what you have all this money, and this is what you choose to do. You didn't say, well, you know what? Let's go feed these hungry people in Baltimore City, or in some other poor little state. I told you my PSA gonna be for 13 cents a day. You can feed a hungry family in Baltimore, and we're gonna get somebody to play Sally Struthers. Um, it's at this point, like I said, it's just disrespectful for you to take your money. Not saying that we should be telling people what to do with their money, but a
right,
spaceship, for God's sakes, are you
right,
serious?
right.
Next thing you know, they're gonna be bringing back aliens and talking about we need to help them. Who's helping us? Tell us more about PEBTS. Well, PEBTS is a one-stop shop for all struggles. We meet people at their needs. We don't ask them to come to us. We're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't take off for nobody's birthday, not even Jesus' birthday. We help them navigate through, regardless of whatever it is. It doesn't matter what they reach out about. If they feel like a cat is stuck in his tree, we're gonna have to get a ladder and get that cat out the tree, because that's a part of something called trauma. And we come out here and we do everything. We do it for free. We don't ask for anything in return. We don't ask for nobody's accolades. We don't ask for, we don't ask for what you call them. We don't ask for your funding. We just ask you to help us help them. That's the only thing we ask.
I think I don't know if she froze or not there, but I want to comment on that. Is that we don't ask for funding, right? We do what we do, and if we get funding, great. If we get donations, much blessings, right? But it doesn't change the service or the continuity of our presence in the city. And I
I just felt like
appreciate
it was
that.
disrespectful for the mayor to get another additional $8 million and keep funding programs that's been out here for decades that I don't see anything working. If
I
you're
will
still
share.
reaching out to you and her and me, then evidently, what you're doing is not right. And we have to actually recognize when something's not working, or, if we're wrong, we're wrong. And, you got to call a spade a spade. It's not working. It's not. And if somebody can tell me what effectiveness that these programs that's been getting, and he was proud to stand up there and say the people that's been getting the money for decades.
Yeah, he was proud of it, right?
I was at my
I
face.
mean, I'm not surprised. I feel like that's kind of the way that Baltimore operates. And a lot of it's like, well, this is what we've always done, so this is what we're gonna keep doing. And we've been giving these organizations money. So why don't
And
we keep giving these organizations money, but like without even really thinking about it or
Oh, they
considering
thought about it. They
space
thought
for
about
other. Okay, go ahead,
it. They
Chap.
thought about it.
I was just going to say, like, one of my personal experiences and my truth. And again, I could be wrong. I could have. There's things behind the scenes I may not know. So I'm always. I'll say with every opinion that I have, there's always room to be corrected. Even Quida has corrected me, out in the community, or checked me, and I received that, right. But I will say that, for example, what you're talking about, the Safe Streets group. I was on set working on the HBO project that we did, and there was a young lady. I've said this before, in Safe Streets uniform, hat, T-shirt, everything, getting off the bus, and she started a fight with security and police on the set. And I was like, sis, like, I tried to de-escalate. I'm a chaplain, right? And I was like, hey guys, I'm a chaplain. Let me talk to her. And I was just trying to encourage her, go home, change your clothes, then come pick a fight. If you really need to fight, I get that, right? Sometimes you're in a space where you just need to fight and get it out. But if you are with an organization who's a peacekeeping organization, and then so that's one experience I had with Safe Streets. And then when I tried to reach out to the Park Heights office to share with them my experience so they can re-educate her, they were not available. The phone was never answered, calls were never returned. And then, but we're giving them 6-7 figures in money every year. And then on top of that, sitting at Lexington Market and watch guys deal drugs. And then finally, after like them doing it for a way too long, inappropriate amount of time. I guess they were building up evidence. Then we lock these guys up, and that same year, within months, we give them another, 6-figure budget. And all those things, maybe there's something I'm missing, but it don't look good from where I'm at. It's disrespectful, just like
It
you're
don't
speaking
feel
about.
good.
And that's just one example. That's just my perception of what's
No, see,
happening.
the thing is that you experienced it.
Mhm.
And in order for you to understand the situation, you have to go through it. And once you went through it and they put that bad taste in your mouth, how you think other people who don't have no weight, how you think they feel when they see safe streets in their neighborhood and they still see people, bodies on the ground, and you want to throw a cookout after some? A cookout is not the damn answer. Don't give me no
And
hot dog and no hamburger
yeah, and
and
I'll,
tell
I'll
me to
even
basically get over it.
and I'll even go as far as to say there were such good and well-intended people whose integrity is compromised, who works for that organization because they let these things happen. Like Mama Lisa on York Road, nothing but encouraging things to say from for her, and she's been nothing but an encouragement to me. The guy Dante who was murdered, man, he was in the neighborhood and doing good things, and there's a lot going on that I don't know, but what I do see is discouraging when there's so many people holding it down, keeping their tribe in check and doing the work that are just out of pocket, and we all sacrifice to do it. And then you got groups that are out of check and doing illegal things, and city still sees fit to give them money. Like, don't we do background checks for employees? Why are we not using those same measures of standard for organizations that we give money to from the city?
Well, actually, they're coming in as criminals.
Well, I understand
Reformed
that, but then
criminals.
to actively engage in that, like I believe in rehabilitation and changing lives, and that's part of the work we do. It's not just housing, it's not just feeding people. It's about engaging people, empowering them, changing the way they think for a better quality of life. But if you're still actively doing those things, am I paying you to do that?
Well, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna
You're
get
paying
off.
for that.
I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get off because I got a 7:45 meeting to jump on. But the thing is that we know that they have criminal records, but nobody told us what criminality it was. And I done got phone calls about inappropriate behavior from Safe Street members that's in the school system. So, like I said,
That's problematic.
right, and they was over at Mervo. So it was the Safe Street dude that was in the school was inappropriately texting a 17-year-old.
Not okay.
And I've reached out to them and I never received a call back. So I have a bad taste in my mouth, and I will never have nothing good to say about Safe Streets until they answer the question. I want to know, what were they locked up for? Because pedophiles is also a criminal record. And
Right.
if you integrate these people, everybody is not a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And let it be a lesson to us here and other community leaders watching is that we do need to mentor closely and keep our tribes in check because they represent us. Like if Chap does something, then that affects how people perceive Baltimore homes because they've seen me partner with them, right? If if I do, we just need to keep in mind who is doing what. Make sure we're engaging people. Make sure they're in a good, safe space to continue to serve with us. I know, like Hug Don't Shoot, Val has had to and to not only disassociate with certain people because of their behavior and choices, but even tell me, chat, look, this dude ain't acting right now. You got to let him be. If he calls you, leave him be for right now, or engage him, but not in a capacity where he's representing us. Now he's not representing the tribe. Maybe I go engage him because he's in need of some things the tribe has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a lesson to us as well, is to make sure that we pack in with quality people, and then the people who are struggling, we bring them in and surround them with quality people who will change their lives.
Right.
I love you guys. Y'all be safe out here.
Love you.
Accountability does not look like us holding everybody else accountable. It look like us holding us accountable too. Like I said, stop trying to be a part of their solution and join the revolution. I love you guys. Good night.
Love you back. Thanks for joining us. That was so great. I was glad Yolanda could check in with us, Chapo. So I wanted to remind folks you put up the banner about Walk with the Doc, and we are not going to be walking this Sunday
Oh,
because it is Mother's Day, but any other Sunday, we will be out there to walk with the doc. And then I have this banner that I wanted to show, and this is for one of the booking engagements. And I'm wondering if I can put it in the comments maybe so that you can see it or click on it. Maybe I'll figure out how to do that. But either way, yeah, let me figure that out. I'll figure that out and then I'll put it back up. But what were some of the other announcements? I know one of our coordinators with Walk with the Doc is doing a tea party this weekend. There's a lot
you
going on.
said a tea party?
Yeah, Backyard Base Camp is doing a tea party for mothers and daughters, I believe, on
Oh, that's so cool.
Saturday, which I think is going to be really, really cute.
And look, if y'all never been to a tea party, forget what you think you know about a tea party and go experience it for yourself, because I got sucked into doing one as a husband. I volunteered to serve, and when I went and supported the ladies in their tea party, man, like I was like, where's my tea party? Where's the men's tea party? It is amazing. It's a lot of fun. It's not a drag. It's not like what you think it is. And if you've been to one, you know what it is. So I know you guys are gonna have a lot of fun out there.
That's so yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's always fun over at Backyard Base Camp anyway. Now they're I think they might still be harvesting some bees and gonna harvest some honey. So that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. The doc that was there was so dope. She was talking about allergens and ways to combat them naturally. She was talking about bee pollen, local honey, and that was actually a conversation we had off to the side by ourselves. But still, bee pollen, local honey. What were some of the foods she suggested? I know she suggested vitamin C, vitamin D, and I believe zinc. So however you get those, get them in your system to build up your immune system and avoid some of these allergies, because folks was out there, and by folks I mean me, was
Mhm.
out there rubbing their eyes all puffy. I've been outside all week apparently, and it just caught up to me Sunday. I looked crazy.
Well, I'll also say that me and Fathead are probably Dougie too are going out to the going to try and go out to the farm tomorrow morning, because I haven't been out there yet. I missed the shearing of the sheep. I missed the processing of the wool into yarn and dyeing it. And those are things I really wanted to do because my wife knits, and so like just to experience that, like let me tell you something about context of Baltimore City. This is a really great true story. And this is kind of put in the minds of people watching or that come back and watch why it's important for our children to experience different things. When I was 15, I worked for Supplies Unlimited. It was a construction material company, and we were actually building the towers over in Druid Heights, and we were delivering drywall. I mean, it was like a whole big truck of drywall. And along the way, we had to stop at a farm and drop off some of the drywall before we came to the city. And so we go out in this farm. It's like somewhere in Hanover, I think. And this old dude that was driving, the truck driver's name was Granddad. He was like in his 60s. He's a Baltimore dude. Most of our jobs were in the city. He had actually never been outside the city limits. I was 15, but I bounced around county, city. Um, and we got out to the farm, and my dad got me the job. So my dad's like in the office. And we called dispatch. Granddad calls dispatch, and he's like, "Hey, y'all, tell the dude I ain't delivering his drywall until he comes get these dogs, right?" And I'm looking around for the dogs. I'm like, I don't see no dogs. And I'm just 15. I don't really know. I'm a kid. I'm just like, I'm there to be like manual labor. I don't really know what's going on.
Right. I remember you telling me this
Yeah.
story.
Okay. So yeah. So Granddad gets on the horn, and so the dispatch is like, "What are you talking about?" And he's freaking out a little bit. Um, And then my dad gets on the dispatch, and he's like, "Hey, put my son on the CB." And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, pops?" He's like, "You see any dogs?" I'm like, "I don't see no dogs, Dad." He said, "What do you see?" And I look around, and I'm like, "Well, I see some cows." And the context of granddad, who had never left the city, had never seen a cow in person. So when we got to the job site, this farm full of cows, he thought it was a herd of Rottweilers, like big Rottweilers, and he would not get out of the car because of his context. It was so like tunnel vision and so hood. And so yeah, it's a favorite memory of mine as a kid, one of my first jobs, and just like my first real insight into the people that I serve today. Even back when I was 15, I was, I noticed why we needed different contexts and different experiences. And so I say all that to say, take your kids to the farm at Bliss Meadows.
Yes.
Right. You can Google Bliss Meadows. It's over by Frankfurt. Take your kids out to Glenarm. Right. There's Priggle Creamery out there. You can get ice cream fresh from the cows. Like, you can go walk with the cows. Like, they all have names. It's crazy. You can go out to Weber Farm, or a lot of us go to a little spot. There's a little spot in Northeast in Parkville or Kearney area where they have this big apple farm. So little stuff like that matters if you get the opportunity, right? Or if you get the opportunity to take your kids to the BSO and you hate classical music, take them. Let them say, I went to it, I hated it, because they might not, right? Take them to Walters and be like, oh, this is like, snobby rich people crap. We'll take them to have that experience. And at least people can say, oh, you're good at art. You're like, no, I've been to a museum, I didn't like it. Well, then, okay.
You know what, Chap? Like, that is a part of, I recognized early on that I had a privilege for traveling or what have you. Like, I was raised in Baltimore County, but my parents moved to Baltimore, like, when I was in elementary school. But we moved from New York. But by then, I had already lived in New Jersey. I had lived in 2 different parts of New York. And
Jersey's got a lot of cows.
Right. But we were going from Baltimore to New York like it was around the corner. And throughout my lifetime in Baltimore, I would meet people who never left like their side of town. And it would blow my mind. But it's like, it's a privilege to have had that experience, LaQuida. Like, and I have to recognize that. But oh my God, it was just like mind blowing. I'm like, so what you mean you never been to the mall that's not on this side of town? You never, I go to all the malls. Like, what?
So I have a confession. Because I'm from Baltimore. So it's kind of ingrained in our culture, like, F New York. Just never, even if you've never been there, that's the attitude. Like, you come down here and they're all New York, and it's like, we don't care. Right. Like, as all the love that we give in Baltimore, when I hear New York, I'm like, I love you anyway. Right. So I've been through New York one time. I got stuck on the GWB on the lower level for like 3 hours and stopped traffic. And I never went back since. I hate it. If I'm going somewhere, I go Tappan Zee, I go around. So it never occurred to me while we're talking about this that Donnie said, have you ever actually been to New York and experienced New York? No. Like, I sat on 95 or I sat on the GWB in traffic.
Like,
but
you drove through it. I drove through New York.
Or around it, but I never actually got out the car and engaged New York. So I never gave it a chance. So our publisher-in-chief for BlackUSA.News and BeMoreNews.com, Donnie was like, Dave, have you ever just been to New York? He's like, we're going to go to New York. Just get on a train. We're not driving. There's no rush. You're just going to sit and so I appreciated that. Like, he was talking about this like this week. So I'm like, I appreciated the fact that, yeah, I've never really been to New York, so I don't really give it a fair assessment. So,
but it's one of those things.
I'm 44, right? I should have been to New York by now.
It's one of those things that I sometimes tell people, like, when I first started traveling, I would try to like have a long layover so that I could see other cities, but other people weren't thinking like that. You know what I mean? Like, they were just, what's the quickest way to get to where I'm going? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna make a day of it. Before I get to the trip and kind of decompress and da da da. But I've always thought of how can I see as many things as possible. So to your point, never having been to New York, any city that I've drove through, like, I've made at some point a point to drive off into the city, like, and go to some place that I could Google that has good ribs or chicken or is known for the best car wash,
She can
whatever it
eat,
is,
y'all.
someplace
She
in the
can
hood.
eat. She can eat.
You know what I'm saying? But someplace in the hood where I'm gonna have to drive through, cut through,
Mhm.
see what's going on, and experience, what is this city like a little bit? Like, so yeah.
I
But
do
it's
know.
always about the food.
I love that vibe because when I got my license at 16, my dad sent me on and my dad is from he's from Highlandtown, Port Street, South Port Street. So he sent me on this treasure hunt, not a treasure hunt. What do you call it? A little sent me around the city to
Scavenger
find.
hunt?
Say again.
A scavenger hunt?
Sent me on a scavenger hunt around Baltimore City, man, and I had to get like menus from this place or get this or find get something from here. And um, I got lost in this city, and I found my way by getting lost.
Right.
And so I knew that in any direction, if I just headed straight, I would hit 695 or 95. And once I got on the beltway, even if I turned the wrong way, my
You would
lesson
know where
was,
you was going.
you know where you're getting off, right? And so that was my like learning experience. And if you can do that in Baltimore, you can do that like really anywhere in the United
Anywhere
States.
else.
And
Yeah.
so that's what, yeah, when me and Brandy drove back from Miami a month ago now, or 2 months ago, we made a point to do that, to stop and find little spots off of 95, get lost a little bit. Because really you're either gonna hit water east or hit 95 west. We're not really lost, and we know we got to head north. So
Right. It's a little ping pong game.
yeah, so I'm down with that. I appreciate that. If we ever have the privilege of travel together, I'm down for like an 8-hour layover in UK before we go to Greece, just so we can like go to a pub or something,
That's
right?
so dope because guess what? My life partner, Sheldon, hates it. He's like, this is not a part of the schedule. We don't know what we're going to be able to do in this time. What if there's a layover? What if
That's
there's
not
a
for everybody,
delay?
right? That's
I'm
true.
like, calm down. Like, we'll find out.
Fathead would lose, like my son Charlie would lose his mind too. He's like, "Oh, we shouldn't go anywhere because the flight leaves in 8 hours."
Right.
Like,
Like,
bro,
what? We could walk somewhere. Okay.
right.
We won't get in a car. Why don't we just walk somewhere? What makes you comfortable? We'll hop on the subway and
So
just go one
we'll bring
exit.
Fathead, and him and Sheldon can do their thing that makes them comfortable. They can find something that makes them comfortable and start
Right.
an experience, and then we can, you, me, and Brandy, and whoever else comes can go get lost.
I love it. I love it. I like it. I love it. So we are
So
off.
no walk with a doc this week.
No walk with the doc for Mother's
Okay.
Day. All the other Voltrina girls. Well, actually, no, that's not true. So 3/5 of Voltrina are moms, and they're like, we is tired. We need some time off. So I think we've been going straight for 10 weeks now. I gotta
Wow.
double check that. But yeah, so no walk with the doc this week, but the next 2 weeks we're gonna have two cardiologists out there. So
All
people
right.
who are concerned about heart health and diabetes and all that kind of stuff, come on out and walk with the doc, talk with us during our weekly wellness walk.
Oh, before I hop off tonight at 10:05, Shared Space has a special episode following the We Own the City. Hopefully, we get some guests. I invited some guests who were actors on the project. Also, I'm going to invite Mr. Glover, and hope maybe if I can find my phone. I lost my phone, but I can text a couple people because I was all love on that experience doing the show. But there's also a very different perspective that I think needs to be honored. If anyone has experienced watching the Birth of a Nation, very old, horrific film from
20
American
seconds.
history. So some people feel that this project is in the spirit of that, and I think it's something that we need to talk about and acknowledge each other's opinions, and really. So hopefully I can get some different perspectives on the show, but definitely some actors who are on the show are going to be on. We're going to have a good time. As soon as the show ends, it comes on at 9. What else we got? Robert Report's coming up.
Oh, he's coming on now.
All right.
All right.
Love
Same
you guys.
bad time, same bad channel. Peace and blessings. Bye, y'all.